All right. Hello and welcome back to the Business Octopus. Yes, Jazz Hands. We are excited to be here for another session because you don't have an X problem, you have a Y problem. What the hell does that mean?
That's a great question. This comes up so much, and I'll use an example that I come across all the time. One of the services we offer is to help experts get all their IP out of their brain and into their first course.
Hmm.
And they tell me I can tell they're great at what they do. We'll build a rock star course for them. And then I
Hmm.
say to them, so how are you going to sell this puppy? What's the plan? And that part they have no idea about. The problem is we can build them an amazing course that I have no doubt of. If they're not going to make sales from it, with the actual problem to start with, we can solve everything else. They actually have a marketing problem. And if they can't get a marketing message
Hmm.
out in the wild that's going to sell their course, that's the actual problem we have right now. We need to get the marketing down. Let's get some pre-sales. Let's prove it. We have a marketing problem. So that's an example. And I see this come up all the time. And Avon, I know that you would have many of these when you're working with clients or even members in the community.
Well, yeah, but just to double down on that course component, is there are plenty of people out there that say pre-sell the course before you've created it, that don't even have a course. And so it's almost like there's an old movie, and this is getting hard to use this analogy, but it's called Field of Dreams. There's
I
this
love
line
it.
in it that says, if you build it, they will come.
So good.
And that is absolute rubbish when it comes to
It's true.
product development. No, if you build it,
Absolutely.
they won't come. If no one knows about it, no one's coming. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter what it is that you build. You could build the course to cure all diseases, to turn you invincible and make you live forevermore. It ain't going to sell if no one knows about it.
That's
So
it.
it's like if people ask for this, but what they really need is that. Like that's my example. So you don't have an X problem, you don't have a Y problem. It's like you're saying you want this, but if I just zoom out a second, you actually need this other thing. So my example is we had a client that were interested in a particular software product that we do work on. They asked, or I said, like, given your size and the complexity of business, it would be worth us doing like an initial audit. And so we charged them for an audit. I flew down there. I took one of my staff. We went
Mhm.
on site. We spent a couple of days talking to people. We observed everything they showed us. We went right through their software systems, and we gave them a very detailed report on a lot of the things that they needed to solve, well and truly over and above just that thing that they asked us to do, because
Got
the report is supposed to be comprehensive, so that even if they never work with us after that, that they still walk away with value and can do stuff.
it. Oh,
And
yeah.
the thing we said in that was, they're like, oh, we want this system to like fill the gaps and plug this and that and make all these things work. And
Mm.
I said to them, actually, you need a rethink. You need a full ERP system. And they're like, oh, but that's not what I wanted to hear. I'm like, that's cool, bro, but like, that's not what you want to hear. That's what you need to hear. I understand that's not what you want to hear, because it means spending 100 grand. But let me tell you this: their warehouse had $1 million worth of stock sitting there for 2 or 3 months before they actually needed it for a project, because they do large projects and they had to order this stuff in advance. But they ordered, because when they order it, the project may not start for another 3, 4, 5 months, but they've got no way to say this stock is containerized separate. Like, they may have made the order today, but then as in, like, the clients ordered it from them, but they have no way to say this order is in the system. We need to actually process it 2 weeks before the actual build date, so that we
Right.
don't have $1 million of stock sitting on the floor
Yeah,
for
yeah.
2, 3 months, because
Mhm.
that's cash. It's not in their bank account. It's
Mhm.
also money that maybe they went and did the order that day, but they still haven't been paid by the client. So now they've got negative
That's
cash flow.
right.
So
Yeah,
yes,
fair.
they're a very successful business, but they're poorly managed. And so they're all crying poor because they're not doing the right systems. And they're also investigating another warehouse that, if they had of, because they were overflowing in the one they had, so they were going to pay another 100 grand a month to get this other warehouse to put this bonus stock in that they don't really have to have. And they were balking at the idea of spending 100,000 or 200,000 on a proper ERP system that handles this. So not only that, there's probably 3 or 4 staff extra that they don't need, who are just sitting there trying to manage all of this in spreadsheets, making a million phone calls, because they've got this e-commerce site as well. And so they've got all this stuff. They made this $1 million order, and then someone goes, oh, we got heaps, let's just sell it. So somebody else sells it. And now they don't have the stock for the order that they made 2 months ago. Like there's heaps of line items in this, but you get what I mean. Like there's bits missing.
Right. Because it wasn't allocated to the project, yeah?
Correct. Yeah.
Scary.
It's a rock show, that's for damn sure. So they didn't have an X problem, they had a Y problem. They didn't have a integration problem, they had a whole of business system-wide problem that they needed to address. And honestly, it wasn't that much more than what the original implementation was going to be. I think it was going to be, yes, double. And in isolation, that looks like a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a drop in the ocean compared to what they were going to spend dealing with all the other issues that they had.
Yeah, so, that makes sense. Yeah. And I think, no, go on.
I was just going to say, it's worth, when you're having the conversation, is just go, tell me all the other things that are happening in your business.
Yeah.
Tell me about your vision, 3 years, 5 years, and then zoom out and just take a big step back, because you have this valuable outsider's view. Now, you think going in and knowing all the nuanced detail of this, and this would be super valuable. It is and it isn't. There is value in having an outsider's view, because particularly if you've worked with a number of organizations and you can see patterns that other people can't see, is when you're too close to the problem, you cannot solve it. And maybe everybody in the organization is too close to the problem.
Absolutely. And I think if you're a business owner, you run a team, whatever it is, you think about the amount of times you've had a challenge and you've sat down and you've talked it through with someone who's not involved, and they've gone, well, actually, have you considered this? And it's, if you stop and think, you were in that situation where you had not an X problem, you had a Y problem. So this actually crops up just in life in general, more than you're probably realizing. And until if you start solving for X when it's really Y, you can get yourself in a lot of hot water. So Avon, let's play hypotheticals. This client, if they had have solved for X instead of Y, where would that have left them? What would have happened?
Same spot, 50 grand in the hole.
So would it have gotten progressively worse, do you think? Or
with scale, as they grow, the problem is just amplified. And they would have solved some other problems. The thing that they wanted us to implement would have done a couple things, but certainly nowhere near to the extent that they needed it to be. And it means sometimes they've got to find some revenue to go and do that. But I think at a certain stage, you need to think more strategically. Don't just purely think about cost. These guys were very cost sensitive, and that was really hard to deal with, because we were able to justify our fee going in, but we didn't get the second project. But then they had a report that they could go and do X, Y, and Z with, and that was useful for them. But another example, sometimes X and Y problems. We're thinking big picture, big business at the moment. But a simple one is someone goes, I've got a knee problem. They go to the doctor. But then the uncomfortable truth, the doctor says you actually have a weight problem that's causing issues with your knees. So if you fix that, you're going to fix your knees. That's the uncomfortable truth. In that situation, the uncomfortable truth is not what you want to hear. You don't want that to be the fix. You go, I should just be able to pop a pill or get an injection, and we're away we go. That sounds great, but that ain't going to fix anything. What you need to do is that root cause analysis and solve the problem that's causing the problem that you are frustrated with.
That's it. And taking the pill to mask the pain doesn't actually fix the problem, to your point. So, but if we work backwards, root cause analysis, 5 whys, all that good stuff, then we actually get to what's actually going on. And even if it's something that you don't want to deal with, if you don't deal with it, you're creating infinitely more pain for yourself down the track.
Well, that's what you get to do as a consultant. And I know that sometimes people say, oh, consultants do this, consultants do that. And I think it's wise to get other people's advice and perspectives, even if you don't take it. Like in a larger business, they might go to market and pay, 2 or 3 consultants to give them a report and then pick an option from there. Because, one person's perspectives, they've come in with this angle. And you do this in, military intelligence, right? You do multiple source reporting. You try to find the best idea from a heap of ideas, or the best evidence of what we think is happening based on a number of cues, and you then rank the reliability and trustability. If Joe from the back room says we should be doing this, you go, why? One, they might have hands-on experience. Yeah, they're probably not the most highest manager, but they're on the ground every day. They know the problem intimately. Could be, I had an example, Joe from the back room, the dude working in the warehouse was the previous owner of the business and founded it, and now just works, 1 day a week in the warehouse because he just wants something to do.
Right.
And still technically runs the company, even though he doesn't work or own or run the company anymore. Everybody goes to him for advice. It's insane. And then you've got, externals with, maybe many years of experience, or maybe someone with no experience, interacting different peoples from different audiences. Like, this is why it's good to listen to podcasts and, consider perspectives from different industries, and why now universities make you do some random topic over here that's not in the field of study.
That's right. Yes.
Is that you bring an idea that was, maybe there's something from cattle farming that you can apply to event management, let's have gates, let's lock them in at this time and then release them at that time, and then put the feed over there, which will draw them that way, we're talking agriculture, and then we're talking I don't know, music festivals. So I'm sure there's got to be some kind of dynamic that you can share between the two.
No doubt. And that's the beauty of cross-pollination, right? So we can take an idea that's been highly successful in a particular scope or industry and apply it elsewhere and get not similar results, but results that are as effective in that particular playpen.
Well, one example of that is Tesla. And, Elon Musk come from PayPal, having created PayPal, which is an e-commerce payments platform, to then creating cars sold online with pre-orders and no dealerships like that. Now they've got dealerships, but in the early days, a lot of that was done just through online ordering. And so to bring that to vehicle purchase, which is a very significant purchase for many people. And you generally don't buy sight unseen. You want to go for the test drive. You want to do this. You want to do that. You want to pick your paint chip colors and all that sort of stuff. And it looks different in real life than or on little metal discs instead of printed in paper versus online. Seeing that metal shine is different. But yeah, look, you don't have an X problem. You have a Y problem. Did you have any other examples? I feel like I'm running short. I've probably got 1,000, but my X problem is I can't remember. My Y problem is I just need more sleep.
Right. Cool. So let's get you some more sleep, Haven. That is your prescription for today. I think it's something that comes up, I would say, every time we meet as a community, so the Relevate community. So part of what we do in our online sessions specifically, or even during the in-person ones, we'll go around and say, okay, what's your biggest challenge? What's your bottleneck? What's stopping you from moving the needle forward right now? And we'll have people volunteer their particular challenge. And once you start pulling that thread, asking some questions, get in there with some curiosity, very, very often, if we have 3 challenges presented, at least one of them will actually be a Y, not an X. So it comes up just from having people around you that you can run it past that are not we always talk about being too close to the problem. We can't self-diagnose because we're we're in it. We're part of that thing. So we need people outside of our businesses, outside of our little ecosystem that can come in and go, well, actually, Amanda, I hear that you think you have a sales problem, but you actually have a marketing problem. And here's why. And then they go, oh my goodness, mind blown. But it happens all the time, because as business owners or founders, we're too close to the problem, and we want to solve it, but we're too close to it.
Yeah, and like in my mind, you said you're hearing them say this. I say you're saying this, but I'm hearing that.
Nice, beautiful.
And wherever I feel that is the case, then I feel like that is a perfect example to reflect it back to them, because that's the X and Y right there.
Beautiful.
And you've kind of heard, you go.
No, I was just going to say, so it just to reinforce our point, is so important that you go and take your challenges to not the person potentially sitting next to you, but take it out into the wild to people that you know, like, and trust. Take it to your colleagues, your community, whoever that might be, and get to, or engage a consultant, like in Avon's example, and get to the root cause of what's going on. So you're solving for the right challenge and the right problem from the outset.
There was a guy who runs a community in the US, and he sold his company to HubSpot and made a hell of a lot of money. Doesn't need to work ever again. Neither does the rest of his family. But he when he started this community, literally jumped on 1 to 200 calls, like 10, 15-minute phone calls with people who are interested, and just go, what do you need? What are you interested in? What are your bottlenecks? Why would you be interested in joining the community? And based on that feedback, he was able to determine what the people wanted. So rather than just going, here is what you should have, getting that feedback from third parties, which will mostly, the potential customers, which is customer research, and you should definitely be doing that. But deliver what the people want. Like sometimes when they have the X and Y problem as well, they say, I want this, and they're saying this, but you're hearing that. Like over a period of time, you're going to get that. You're going to pull that Y thread out, because like the Henry Ford phrase of, if I asked the people what they want, they would have asked for faster horses. So it's not that you want faster horses, it's that you want to go faster. Yes,
we just want to go faster. Zooming out, we want to go faster. Got it.
You have a speed and a range problem. You don't have a method problem.
Correct. Yes. Great analogy.
Well, I just have a lot of these aha moments on these calls. So, yeah. Well, look, if you've got an idea and you've got an aha moment from watching this, jump into the Relevate community, join.relevate.com.au, let us know. And I'm sure we'll be able to bring some of those topics to this session, or even just answer you directly in the community. So also give us a like and a subscribe, and hopefully share it with a friend. Let us know what we're doing well. Give us that feedback, because we're asking you for it now. So tell us what we're doing well, and if we have a next problem, and what's our Y problem. So we're always curious. We always want to know more. We always want to improve. So thank you for watching, and you stay classy.